Hana-Rawhiti Maipi-Clarke.
Tēnā rā koe te whikaotira, tēnā rā tātou i te whare e tuana hau ki te wahai ngā kōrero mo te Pāti Māori i te pōnei e pāna ki ngā tai āhuatanga e hono ana ki te taiao. Te Pāti Māori notes that this bill provides for exemption of certain Māori lands from ETS restrictions in this bill, principally Māori land held under Te Ture Whenua Māori Act 1993, Māori land on which the status was changed to general land under the Māori Affairs Amendment 1967, and land to a treaty settlement. Te tari whakatau and a small number of Māori stakeholders were consulted on identifying the types of Māori land that fall within these categories. Officials conclude that the exemptions provide certainly for Māori landowners an opportunity for Māori to exercise rangatiratanga. In developing the policy for the bill, ministers and officials considered the interests and effects of the proposal for Māori throughout the analysis. Māori and iwi stakeholders were also consulted alongside the public on this policy as part of the second emissions reduction plan. The Māori entities spoke to were in favour of the exemption and agreement with specific exemptions included in this bill. However, Te Pāti Māori considers also the concerns. One, placing certain restrictions on farm conversions, limiting the volume of hectares available for conversions per year, also setting out provisions for farmland planting and ensure flexibility and choice, setting out protections for Māori-owned land in line with the treaty obligations, also creating time-limited exemptions for certain people who were in the process. And also, however, protections for Māori land do not outweigh the negative impact on taiao and reduction of the border environmental protections. In fact, Māori land only accounts for a very small number of land use activities in Aotearoa. In that context, Te Pāti Māori considers the bill to also undermine the integrity of the ETS scheme and weakens it further by removing methane, which only limits the scheme further. We support efforts to assert kai sovereignty, but we are not totally convinced that this current proposal is effective enough in providing ensuring that all our whānau in Aotearoa have access to kai. Nō reira, tēnā rā tātou.
That's an interesting reason to oppose it. I don't really know too much about the treaty side of it, which is weird coming from me because I really ought to know. But yeah, I that's a really interesting point. How much of iwi land utilises radiata pine? Because I thought generally iwi land preferred. Actually, no, come to think of it, iwi land does do mixed plantations, but I don't think that bill is going to impact mixed plantations because it's talking about anything above 25% when it comes to exotic forest on Class 6 land. So, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. Yeah, I've heard many different things about iwi lands and all that sort of thing in different areas. I know in Rotorua, they lease out a lot of the iwi land to dairy farming.
Yeah.
I do know that.
Are they talking about... just trying to think what I'm not quite sure what they're referring to. Yeah, just so I'm not talking out of my ass. But yeah, that's really interesting. If they're leasing land for pine plantations for carbon credits, that's the first time I've heard that's happening. Because most of the time when I think iwi land and forestry, I think native regeneration. Interesting. I'll have to look into it.
Depends probably which part of the country. The volcanic plateau around near Taupo-Turangi has a lot of iwi. Was it the biggest landowner actually of that particular district council is iwi, and the biggest job they have is forestry. But it was also mentioned the fact that when it comes to voting on local body elections on the council, the fact that they owned, was it 25% of the land in the council territorial boundaries or something quite big, they only were allowed one vote at the council, one vote at elections.
But just a point of this bill is covering ETS, so carbon credits. It's not. It's talking about carbon farms. It's not talking about your bog standard forestry, right?
Yeah. But I think that's one of where people can really relate to forestry is between was it Taupo and Turangi?
Yeah. But it's very interesting that iwi. I don't know if I've ever heard of iwi leasing land to do a full conversion from pastoral to ready.
It might be a business structural arrangement where the actual work is put into a company that leases it off itself.
Quite possibly.
But it might be doing that for liability purposes or something. Or there might be a reason why it's done that way, but it might be for certain controls.
But it's interesting. I thought this bill excluded iwi-owned land from being subject to this new amendment.
Yeah.
So yeah.